This is my latest creation of stop motion. We'll try doing a stop motion on a human being. It's never been done before.
Talk about animated. This week's Sci-Fi Buzz is exciting. Meet Ray Harryhausen. He made monsters move before Spielberg was even born. We'll buzz with Beldar's alter ego, Dan Aykroyd. He believes he's been contacted. And Meteor Man Robert Townsend zooms in for a close-up.
Are you just stuffed and bloated with this Jurassic Park hype? I know I am. If I hear any more about Jurassic Park special effects, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Hi, Mike Jarek. Welcome to Sci-Fi Buzz. Now, don't get me wrong. The special effects were amazing, and the film was great. I loved it. But I guess one of my favorites is Ray Harryhausen. He did the stop-motion special effects for films like Jason and the Argonauts and The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. They were wonderful films. And recently when Ray came by here to Sci-Fi Central, I got to meet one of the sci-fi greats.
I was inspired by a film called King Kong in 1933. I was 13. I went to Grauman's Chinese to see a guerrilla film of some sort. I didn't quite know what it was. And I came out of the cinema absolutely stunned. And I haven't been the same since.
Soon after getting bit by the stop-motion bug, Harryhausen started making amateur films in his parents' garage. King Kong's legendary stop-motion animator, Willis O'Brien, was so impressed with young Harryhausen's work, he hired him to assist on the film Mighty Joe Young. Harryhausen's career in the Hollywood effects industry was off and running.
Now, this is actually one of your flying saucers, right?
Yes, it is. This is a genuine flying saucer from the film Earth versus the Flying Saucers. And as you can see, each section moves on it. This will move in one direction. The bottom part will move in another opposite direction.
Now, what did you have to do with this? What was your job?
Each frame of film, you move this just one frame, take a picture. You move it, take a picture. Move it, take a picture. The saucer moves and take a picture. When you get thousands of these, you get what you see on the screen, a flying saucer zooming through the sky.
So what kept you from going stark raving mad?
Well, I don't know. I think the influence that, how can you make an inanimate object look like it's guided by intelligence? So I think that kept me slightly sane.
Of all your films, which was the most complex to put together?
Let us take, for example, Jason and the Argonauts. We had 7 skeletons fighting 3 men. Well, that took 4.5 months, and it's a 5-minute sequence. I don't think it lasts 5 minutes. But to put the skeletons in and time them with the people, the 3 men that were swinging their swords, that took overall about 4.5 months.
Patience.
Patience is very necessary.
By the way, I loved your Godzilla movies.
Oh, good.
Just kidding. But you do get annoyed when people confuse you with the Godzilla films, true?
I've had some reporters come up to me. I hate to mention this, but it was the biggest insult I received. They said, "Oh, you make pictures like Godzilla, you know." And Godzilla had nothing to do with animation. It was a man in a suit on a miniature set, photographed at high speed. So it had no relationship with the type of process that Willis O'Brien and I grew up with.
Now, I understand you've seen Jurassic Park. What do you think of computer-generated animation like that?
Well, I think I saw Jurassic Park, and I think it was wonderfully done. The computer image astounded me. I couldn't believe that you could do that electronically, generate a 3-dimensional image. So it is something of the future, I think, that's going to be quite well used in fantasy films.
But these people are cheating.
I think it's cheating. I think it takes the joy out of it. There's a certain joy that's hard to explain to the layman of taken an inanimate object like a King Kong or a dinosaur and make it appear to be alive. And I can't see that you would get much joy out of sitting and looking at a screen and pushing buttons to create that same effect. I don't know, it's just not the same. I think it's a wonderful tool. A computer is a tool, but I don't think it'll wipe out stop motion animation. It shouldn't. If anybody's enterprising, they'll find a way, an outlet for stop motion.
Ray Harryhausen's last film was Clash of the Titans back in 1981. You know, he's 73 now and retired from filmmaking, but staying very busy. He's designing bronzes of his most popular characters. Most of the originals were cannibalized from other projects due to budget constraints. For example, studios would take the tail from the beast from 20,000 Fathoms and make octopus tentacles out of them, right?
Right.
Right. Also, Dark Horse Comics is releasing limited editions of lithographs based on Harryhausen's renderings. Those will be out this fall. The Voyager Company's Criterion Collection has just come out with Jason and the Argonauts on Laserdisc. Look at this. Ray says he's very happy with the quality. And finally, Midwich Entertainment has released a comprehensive documentary about Ray Harryhausen called Aliens, Monsters, Dragons, and Me. The folks So when you're fed up with all this Jurassic Park stuff, dial up some vintage Ray Harryhausen. I mean, this guy is a classic.
Yeah, this is Jeff Norman, and I'd like to recommend a video called Vampire Hunter D, Japanese animated. It's a really good flick. It's a bit dark in its approach, and beyond that, it basically just blows you away when you see it.
Dan Aykroyd is a believer, and he tells us so. After this disconnect.
No wonder Dan Aykroyd was so irritable on the set of Coneheads. It says here in Entertainment Weekly magazine that after about 8 hours of filming, his cone would fill up with sweat. Talk about a case of water on the brain. Oh. Well, when we sat down with Dan recently, he didn't want to talk about the Coneheads. No, he had something else on his mind. Real aliens.
Hi, Mr. Conehead.
I find you unacceptable.
Yes, sir.
Coneheads, of course, is based on a series of Saturday Night Live comedy sketches that featured Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin back in the 70s. Aykroyd, along with writing partner Tom Davis, wrote those sketches as well as the new movie. But Dan's fascination with aliens goes beyond their usefulness in creating comedy. He believes that extraterrestrials have actually landed.
We must face the fact that they may be preparing, I don't know in a group or what species is going to do it, but they're going to come down here and they may be might increase their abductions. They're grabbing people all the time.
No, Dan is not joking. Just as a sincere interest in paranormal phenomena inspired his writing of the Ghostbusters films, Dan's belief in alien visitors to Earth inspired the creation of the Coneheads. He subscribes to the theory that the government has suppressed information about real-life close encounters with aliens.
I think the old deal that was struck with whatever species made the deal with the government originally to share the technology in exchange for cattle, take the people, and give us the technology. The government now realizes, the Air Force, that these aliens are never going to give up that technology. They're tired, they're sorry they made the deal, whoever made the deal.
Convinced that some of the alien visitors are definitely up to no good, Aykroyd warns that we Earthlings have to prepare to defend ourselves.
We have to get our defense forces a drug which inoculates them against the telepathic override that the aliens use when they come here. Herb Shermer, the Nebraska Highway Patrolman who got picked up, Barney and Betty Hill, Travis Walton, all the classic abduction cases talk about they can't get to his gun, paralysis, they're just like robots. We have to give our soldiers something that overrides that.
Dan's belief in extraterrestrials stems in part from his own encounters with what he believes were alien spacecraft. He vividly recalls two personal sightings. The first one at his house on Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts.
Two discs, perfectly round, turned up, flying in tandem like this. They streaked across the sky. I screamed to my wife and my friend's girlfriend, get up, you gotta come out, you gotta see that. And with, you know, they walked in and like as the disc were a third of the way across the sky, they came out, they saw these things whap, 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 take right off and just poof, disappear.
Dan's second encounter occurred while he and his wife were asleep on their farm in Canada.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, Donna, I'm hearing a buzz, I'm hearing a buzz, and someone wants me to come outside. They're calling me, so, oh, go back to sleep. We wake up the next morning and we read in the local paper near Griffiths Air Force Base, Rome, New York, 12,000 people sight huge spiral moving object above, eastern New York. And the Air Force said, oh, it was a Chinese rocket that blew up. Yeah, over eastern New York, sure. And people felt they had to come outside and look at this thing.
Dan Aykroyd may have audiences rolling in the aisles with his conehead capers, but he clearly thinks that invading aliens should not be taken lightly.
It's naive to think that they might not try something hostile on a mass scale, and we are not prepared now. So you got me going on UFOs.
This is Brian Freeman from Odessa, Texas. I'm just calling to recommend Main Events by Jim Long. It's the latest in the Battletech line of novels, and it's the best one to come down the line in quite a while.
Robert Townsend flies, and our Sci-Fi Buzz Best Bets next. Summer suggestions on this week's Buzz Best Bets include some horrible happenings in the theater and a plethora of pertinent print for Sci-Fi Buzz. Superstitious viewers beware. 2 Hollywood creepers are crawling into theaters on Friday, August 13th. First up, Jason is back, and he's finally headed where he belongs, in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Kane Hodder returns as the hockey-faced fiend horror audiences love to hate. And original producer Sean Cunningham has returned to give Jason the satanic send-off he deserves. Yes, folks, this is Jason's 9th and final ride. Well, at least until the studio sees how much cash this one generates.
How is it going? I killed my wife. Is that wrong? Hey, these things happen.
In Columbia Pictures' adaptation of the Stephen King novel Needful Things, Max von Sydow plays a devilish stranger who sets up shop in a sleepy New England town. Top-notch actors like Ed Harris, Amanda Plummer, and Bonnie Bedelia clamored to play the tormented townsfolk of Castle Rock, Maine. And we do mean tormented. After all, that's the way Stephen King likes it.
You are disgusting. I like that in a person.
Now that we've given you horror nuts something to look forward to, it's only fair we titillate sci-fi taste buds as well. St. Martin's Press has released a new edition of their invaluable resource guide, The Encyclopedia of Science Fiction, by John Clute and Peter Nichols. This expanded version contains over 4,300 entries, and it appears the late Isaac Asimov's prediction that it will become the Bible for all science fiction fans is fast proving to be true. Those are this week's Buzz Best Bets.
Harlan Ellison is next, and he says he has found something great on TV for a change. And speaking of TV, did you see last week's issue of TV Guide? What are these people thinking? It's their out-of-this-world summer sci-fi issue. You know what's missing? Sci-Fi Buzz is not mentioned at all. And in the 25-page article, the Sci-Fi Channel is only mentioned once. Hey, folks at TV Guide, wake up! Come on! 25 pages, you mention us once. There is a channel completely devoted to sci-fi right now.
Boy, I hate being wrong. I really hate being wrong. I mean, I'm wrong as often as you guys are, but it bothers me. I'm one of these anal perfectionist kind of guy. Once upon a, this has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about, but once upon a time in Chicago, I had to do a radio controversy, a dialogue with a minister on pornography. I, of course, was pro and he was anti, of course. And somewhere in the middle of the conversation, I was talking about the fine points of this problem, and I said, the minutiae of this situation, and he and the host looked at me and they said, the what? And I said, you know, the minutiae, the small, and they said, do you mean minutia? Well, I'd never heard anybody say it. I'd seen it written, and of course I didn't speak Latin, so I didn't know the word was minutia, and I said yes, and I felt like such a jerk. That's why when we began these commentaries, I told you that I would tell you when I was wrong, and if you caught me out at it. And this is not strictly speaking I was caught out wrong, but I come very late to something called Quantum Leap. And Quantum Leap, I just never watched it very much when it was on network. Now it's on the USA Network, which oddly enough is the parent outfit of the Sci-Fi channel. And I want you to understand that this is not a hype for them. They didn't ask me to do this. I come to do this to talk about Quantum Leap because I caught a wonderful episode in rerun the other day on USA Network. It was about, it's where Scott, I guess it's Bakula, is that the way it's pronounced? Scott Bakula goes back to the 50s and finds himself a member of the Ku Klux Klan and doesn't want to be and has to teach his son that bigotry and racism are bad. And I watched this hour, even in its edited, what they call stripped form, and it was absolutely astonishing. I thought it was one of the best lessons I had ever seen given on television about something like racism and bigotry, which is so deeply ingrained that most people suffer from it and don't even know. And I had begun watching Quantum Leap during the last season and was very much impressed by it. I'm sorry it's gone. I'm really sorry it's gone. And I'll tell you why, not so much for the story. Stories can be told in almost any format. But today, very few people have a sense of time. They have a very small sense of tick-tock, tick-tock. What they have a sense of is right here and right now. It's as if the world began this morning and will end tonight. They don't understand that they are all linked into a long chain that goes all the way back to the dawn of time and goes all the way forward to the end of time. And so they're careless and they're callous and they litter and they hurt each other and they do all the stuff that you're advised by all the best religions not to do. And here was Quantum Leap, this show that said, time is a mesh and you are trapped in that mesh. And it goes on forever, and what you do has repercussions, and you are not alone. You are not alone in that boat going down the river. And I guess I'm sorry to see a show that has that serious and wonderful a point gone. And so, like a dolt, I come late to say, goodbye, Quantum Leap, and stay in syndication and rerun forever, because the human race really needs it.
He directs, writes, acts, and flies. Meet Meteor Man's alter ego next.
With all the science fiction and horror films out in theaters this summer, don't overlook Meteor Man. Robert Townsend is a very funny guy, and this fish out of water film looks fairly entertaining.
As a young boy growing up in the inner city, Robert Townsend liked to imagine he was a superhero with magic powers. Now he's bringing his childhood dreams to the big screen in the fantasy adventure Meteor Man.
Surprise!
Mama, what is that?
You gotta have a uniform to fight crime. Meteor Man.
Townsend plays Jeff Reed, a school teacher who's transformed to superhero status when a falling emerald meteor lands on him.
I think Meteor Man is a mixture of all superheroes, you know, I mean, all different qualities from everybody. He can fly, but he's afraid of heights, so he only flies 4 feet off the ground. So I've tried to do these little unique things to make him special.
Townsend, an avid science fiction fan in his youth, watched everything from Star Trek to Outer Limits and Twilight Zone. But it was one of television's superheroes that really sparked his imagination.
Batman, and on Batman, the Riddler was my favorite villain, and that's why Frank Gorshin is in the film, because as a kid, I was the Riddler. I used to do like, dynamic duo. I used to do all of that kind of stuff, and Batman was my favorite.
Better than Batman.
Better than Superman.
And what's that other child?
Spider-Man.
Can't touch him.
Townsend is director, writer, and star of Meteor Man. During the filming, his presence was in demand all over the set. And while comic superheroes might have the power to be in 2 places at once, mere mortals do not.
Well, it was really hard for me directing because I'm in a harness 90 feet off the ground, and so I'd be up going, I like take 1, let's go again, all right? So for me as a director being in the film, because I was shooting and flying, you know, at certain points really high, that was the hardest thing because I couldn't come out of the harness because we'd lose time.
As Townsend's first stab at an effects-heavy project, Meteor Man presented some unique challenges. Wisely, he called in the special effects wizards at Industrial Light and Magic to create the blue screen effects that were crucial to the look of the film.
You shoot a character against blue screen, you don't use the blue information. In that manner, you can take the character and paste him into any background that you want.
While the filmmaker hopes his movie is appreciated for its visual enjoyment, he'd like audiences to take a deeper look, woven carefully around the blue screens, lasers, and other effects of Meteor Man, is an old-fashioned tale of good versus evil.
For me as a storyteller, I think everybody wants magic. I mean, everybody would like something magical to come into their life. And with Meteor Man, I think when you escape into the theater for, you know, the 100 minutes that the film runs, you know, it'll take you on that journey. And I think sometimes it's great to have that break.
This is Rick Dothager from Vine Grove, Kentucky, and I'm calling to recommend Shadowhawk 2 by Jim Valentino in Image Comics. Shadowhawk is a story of a vigilante anti-hero who is opposed by both villains and superheroes. It's not to be missed.
I'm Tom Krause. I enjoyed The Emancipator by Ray Aldridge, a book in the style of Arthur Conan Doyle. It is action from page 1 all the way to the finish.
Remember, if you want to recommend a good video, a book, or a convention to all our Sci-Fi Buzz viewers, please do so. Show you the man behind the Jason mask, and we'll celebrate 30 years with the X-Men, and we'll take you to a great sci-fi gathering in Reno, Nevada, of all places. Thank you for being with us this week. Before we go, I just want to say, you know how I was talking so badly about TV Guide earlier? They didn't mention Sci-Fi Buzz in 25 pages of their summer sci-fi issue. I just want to say, I really mean it, you stupid TV Guide people.